Hi there, it's Neil McNeil here. I'm an adoption and fertility lawyer in Ontario, Canada. I'm also an adoptive mother and the mother of a donor-conceived child. And so just popping on here for a little bit to talk about consent and your child's consent in particular when it comes to the issue of adoption. So in Ontario at age 7, kiddos have to consent to adoption. That's one of the requirements that are in place in the legislation. And in terms of that consent, they're meeting with a children's lawyer who will meet with them. Of course, that children's lawyer is well versed in the law, and hopefully they are well versed in communicating with our littles and dealing with them in a child-friendly manner. That said, as much as I would like to assume that that's the case, I am mindful of my own experience and my daughter's experience, and we dealt with a children's lawyer where that experience was in no way child-friendly. And so I just wanted to jump on here and just remind parents and people who are caring for these beautiful little people that you, matter-of-factly, are that little person's best advocate. And it's okay for you to advocate. Please do not be intimidated by lawyers and social workers and the like. I mean, respect, absolutely. And you do have to be mindful of the path that you travel and how you communicate with people. But I don't believe that should stop you from advocating. And so in our situation, my daughter was expected to attend at a law office and go up to floor number 202, it might as well have been, in a very formal setting. There were no beautiful colors on the walls. There were no toys around. And she had to go to a boardroom to meet with her children's lawyer. After all of the loss that my child had experienced and her journey and the social workers that she had met with over the course of the years, and just that lack of sense of permanency and fear and all of the things that I'm sure were weighing on her, it always bothered me that that meeting took place with a scared little girl who had voiced that she didn't want to be adopted because she was so fearful of this meeting. It took place in a tall, formal setting where that only adds to a child's fear. And so I wish I would have advocated a little more strongly to have that meeting out in a park or at my home. Would I have been allowed to be there? No. Of course, these meetings have to take place privately. They need an opportunity to speak with the child alone and to ensure that they're hearing the child's voice and not someone else's voice. But it can take place at a play center or wherever else you think the child would be comfortable and more likely to open up. So yes, advocate, please advocate. And as well, I think of dealing with the Children's Aid Society that I did, and there, it's okay to advocate there as well. You know your child, and sometimes individuals will cast doubt on that, but textbooks don't teach you about your child. General principles and theories do not equate to living with a little human and getting to know them inside and out, and so you do know your child best, and it's okay to be their voice as best you can. Of course, we're always going to have concerns and fears that we sit with, and we walk the line. But in a situation where, say, you have family visits scheduled and perhaps one birth parent isn't showing, perhaps due to addiction issues, having a child sit and wait for them with that parent not showing, it breaks your heart. And so just in terms of advocating, one example would be to request that visit take place after the other visit with, say, the other family member. And if that parent doesn't show, the child could be none the wiser. The child could not feel that hurt each and every time, which I can tell you that can be a memory that lasts with them forever. And so if CAS isn't advocating or looking to change that scenario, which sometimes they don't, be the advocate, use your voice and nudge and remind. Trying to think of other examples. There are honestly so many when I think about our journey and my personal journey. It was a 5.5-year journey in terms of a foster to adopt scenario. And there were so many times where I needed to advocate, and I'm blessed to be a lawyer. I'm blessed to know how to advocate and to have the confidence to advocate. But there are so many families that are scared to, and perhaps feel as though they don't have the right. And you know, in certain situations, if the issue is significant enough, maybe you call a lawyer and you ask for some advice. Maybe you need some hand-holding or some guidance. Maybe you do need a lawyer to assist you in the process. But outside of that, in a world where we are told sometimes that we don't matter, I know that certainly the children's lawyer in our scenario in open court had indicated that I didn't matter, and that my voice and my opinion was irrelevant in regard to my daughter's adoption and our adoption constellation and what openness would look like. Thankfully we had a judge that wholly disagreed with that. But I just want to send that message out there to adoptive families. You do matter. You so matter. You do the heavy lifting. We live the reality of whatever an order will mean in the day-to-day. And we live with these children, and yes, experts can have input and they can give us guidance, and oftentimes their guidance is going to be spot on in their insight, but not always. We can't assume certain things about our children. We can't take general principles and apply it to our children. We really have to look at the child as an individual. They are unique. Their needs are their needs, not general needs. And so, yeah, I encourage you to use your voice. I encourage you to not be intimidated by the children's lawyer who wants to meet in their high-rise office building because it's easier for them and they don't have to travel and the like, and they can just work on their billables and focus on that. The child matters most, and your voice can really help them. All that said, as I rant and reflect, and I'm so glad that phase of my life is over, I want to say, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, feel free to give me a call. But know that you matter. And you matter so much that if you're not doing well, if you're struggling, just remember that trickles down to your child. So self-care is important. But beyond self-care, using your voice and making yourself heard, your voice is important, and your knowledge of your child should never be overlooked. So take care, hang in there, and if you need anything, feel free to reach out.